Surrounded dangerous. Well, yeah.
WEFM, the new fresh sound.
WhatsApp us or call us at 457-9997. Activated Mornings on WeFM 99.9 is on now.
All righty, so time right now, it is 7:45. And it's time for us to hear commentary this morning from Lyf Compton. Very full house this morning. Morning, Lyf.
Good morning. I know everybody's there this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Lyf.
How are you guys this morning?
We good over you. You had a good weekend, Lyf?
Yeah. It was all right.
You went to church?
No.
No, the reason I asked, right, because I noticed you mentioned church for New Year's Day. All year's night into New Year's Day.
You notice he mentioned church and the party.
No, but he said he went straight home. So you went church on Sunday, Lyf?
All you leave my friend alone. He going to go to church. Leave him. Lyf, that's the first time I seen you in my life.
Yes. That's not good.
Yes, this is the troublesome life.
So everybody,
Lyf, before you go out with the commentary though, I listened to the song that you sent for me, and that song shouldn't be played anyway.
But you know, I was looking at it though, but part of me wonders if he only did this as a shock value to get his name out. Because you know, many of these artists, in order for them to get their names out, they do, things like this. So when you think about Tommy Lee and maybe Alkaline back in the day, even Cartel back in the day, they did and said things in order to start the controversy, to get the conversation going, to get their name out. So part of me wonders if that's really what it was about. I just want a teacher to come out and say that he has at least 7 subjects or more, right? To kind of dispute everything else.
so the ends justify the means.
Well, ask Castle and the rest of them.
Boy, I agree with Maka, boy, Roleza, boy. I hear Maka.
That song shouldn't be played nowhere at all.
Maybe, yeah, he did. Well, I don't think he did it. I think he just did it because he think it's the right thing to do. Nicole, did you listen to the song?
I listened. I had to stop because a call came in. I was like, that is probably sweet baby Jesus saving me from Christ. But I will listen to it later.
Yeah. What release, I don't know. Well, if he did it for shock value, he get you.
He did.
So that would mean that was the only one he would do. He want to do no more like that?
Well, who knows? Who knows? Remember, they always have to keep the name going. The name needs to be trending. So who knows?
You look at the video too when they pushed on the teacher and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I looked at the whole thing. I looked at all of it. Yeah.
That song is crazy, man. Yeah, but okay. What I want to there's a let me just get into it, right? You stick that song in my head now. There's an article on One News SVG. One News is run by Damian Maka, and it says, the headline says, which minister of government called police on an innocent woman? Right? Now, when I go through the article, right, I'm not blaming. Okay, let me just go ahead and read part, right? It says a senior housing assessor from the Ministry of Housing was detained by police on Friday, January 9th, allegedly at the direction of a government politician who is not the Minister of Housing. Now, the case is being filed for unlawful detention and false imprisonment. I think the person is right to file this unlawful detention and false imprisonment claim, right? Because too many times people are detained by police for the wrong reasons and later released without charge. Now, what is evident, right, is that young police officers given the mandate to investigate crimes. I often detain people and arrest people not with the intention of finding the truth, but with the intention of charging the person when somebody come and says something about you. And that is what the big problem is. A lot of times when people are detained, and sometimes people are detained, and then you hear, oh, it was a mistake, or it's not what we expected, and then they let you go. You're free to go, right? But it's not so much, sometimes it's not so much about that too, sometimes it's how you're treated when you are detained with lack of respect by some junior police officers, right? So basically what happened is that this is the story. The permanent secretary in the Ministry of Housing had asked the assessor to distribute materials to 2 locations so that work on houses could be completed with urgency, allowing the families to move in and in their period in rental accommodation. So apparently these are people who had their homes damaged from burial, and they are in rented accommodation that is being paid by the government for since burial struck, since after burial struck. So they wanted to get these material to people to finish the houses, and apparently someone called the police and told the police that the woman was stealing the material. The material was not supposed to be given. And although you would think that a call to the permanent secretary would handle this, would deal with this, because they say they call the permanent secretary and she confirmed that she authorized the payment over the phone, the distribution over the phone. And the article goes on to say, even after the explanation by the permanent secretary, police transported the woman to the Connery police station, where she was detained from around 6 p.m. until after 11 p.m. And she repeatedly asked what charge she faced, but received no answer. Now, this is the part I have a problem with out of the whole entire thing, is the behavior of the police officer. When she complained of hunger, an officer reportedly replied, "Look, galvanize out there, go and eat those." Right? Now, after going through all of this, she was eventually released. Right? She was released without charge or whatever, because apparently the permanent secretary said, yo, we have distributed this thing. So this is the part I have the problem with, right? Some of the junior police officers, they lack tact, they lack the ability to deal with people respectfully, because what you have to remember is when you're detained by the police or arrested by the police or even charged by the police, you are innocent until proven guilty. And this is sometimes one of my, let's shift on the topic for a minute, right? This is sometimes my argument for bail for every single charge, including murder, because the law says that you're innocent until proven guilty. So that's why you see places like in the bigger countries like the United States and Canada, you can sometimes be given bail for murder. I think at some point we need to look into doing this in St. Vincent too. Not that I'm saying that we should let off criminals, but the way this woman was treated, she ended up not being guilty of anything. And she ended up being detained, insulted, and basically like treated very badly for something that she didn't, what she was being accused of, she didn't do it. Now, all these sort of things kind of like just break down the relationship that the public has with the police, and this is part of the problem when it comes to crime solving. You know what I mean? I'm not even gonna focus on the part that a minister call the police, because if somebody sees something that they think is wrong, and they have a right to call the police for the police to investigate. The police, on the other hand, now is charged with doing a job. So if you are told that this permanent secretary agreed to the materials being distributed, why hold this woman for so long? You know, that's just the way it part. And as I said, this is done plenty times. A lot of people go through this sort of thing. Like someone will go and say something about you. It may not be true, but yet still you're detained by police for hours without any real justification, and then they just come and tell you, okay, you're free to go. This has been happening for a very long time, you know. I could remember, right? One time there was a fire in town. The fire was in the night, probably like after 8, after 9. And I received a phone call. That time I was employed with Searchlight as a junior reporter, and I received a phone call that there was a fire in town. So I went into town. I met a lot of other senior journalists there. Among them was a guy named Jeff Chapman. He worked with the Vincentian at the time, and he was taking photos. And a senior police officer came and told him he was not allowed to take photos of the fire. And he was like, what? And then he's insisting, look, what are you talking about? And he was arrested and detained. He was taken to the police station and thrown in a cell for taking pictures of a fire in Kingston. You know what happened? The Prime Minister at the time was Dr. Rav Gonsav, and he came out and said, listen, this is madness. This should have never happened. And Chapman was awarded compensation for being wrongfully detained by the police. But I don't think I ever heard about any other incidents where the government or the police force were forced to pay somebody for wrongful detention. It happens a lot, you know. And as I said, it's sometimes not the point. Well, sometimes police have to detain you for investigation, but it's how you're treated at the point when you're detained. Right now, there's a lawsuit. I don't know if you all heard about the case with Leroy Rock when it was alleged that he did not want to give up the keys to the community center in Redemption Shops after the elections, and the police were sent to get the keys to him. And he claims that he was abused by the police, and then he went to the doctor and he provided medical reports, and he has now filed a lawsuit against two police officers, and that recently happened, right? And my thing with that is not the fact that he was detained for the keys, because if you're told to pass over the keys, I think he should have passed over the keys. But they detained him, and he claimed that they, in our words, they ring up his hand, and he alleged that they ring up his hand, and he went to the doctor and got medical reports, and now he has filed a lawsuit against I think it has gone to the Attorney General. 2 police officers were named in the lawsuit. You know what I mean? So this is something that the police definitely have to look into. The upper officers have to look into. The Ministry of National Security have to look into if we want to build a relationship with the police. It's very, very, very important. Sometime last year, Trevor Buju Bailey, he spoke about a document they were putting together and would release into the public so that people could know their rights and know what's supposed to happen when they're interacting with the police. And he spoke about things that used to happen that don't happen anymore, right? And one of the things that stood out is that if the police officers back in the day, I don't know where they got this from, right? And it's a lucky thing this was cut out. I don't know where they ever got this from. Like, if the police officer come to your home to arrest you and they meet you in your boxer shorts, they're not allowing you to put on clothes. They take you to the station in your boxer shorts. That was something that used to happen regularly. One time, a young lady from Pars Avenue, she was being investigated for something that happened in a government ministry. And they went to her home early morning and met her on a nightie. A skimpy nightie, and they took her to the police station in her nightgown. And then I don't know at what point the upper echelons of the police decided that we have to stop this, but it was eventually stopped where now when they come to your home, they allow you to put on something proper. But back in the days, a lot of people were taken to men were taken to the police station half naked. And it was something that used to always be baffling to me. Why, if you're home, they don't allow you to put on something? Why they take you exactly how you are? So sometimes you go to the station and you will see a man in the boxer shorts, or you'll see a man in a pants barefoot, because the police refuse to let you put on clothes. So luckily that was stamped out. So I think if that was eventually stamped out, other bad practices could also be stamped out. You know, not all police officers speak to you in a disrespectful way. Not all attempt to embarrass you and insult you, but there are some who just don't understand what their job's supposed to be. So in this situation, I actually hope that this woman pursues some sort of legal action, because she's well within her rights to do that. And as we can see with Jeff Chapman, if we are to use that as a base, as a precedent, we could see that you could in fact be rewarded or compensated for wrongful detention. You know, there are many other cases that I also wonder about sometimes, where people are wrongfully accused, charged, and taken to court and even imprisoned and win the cases and appeal and then come out and realize this person was innocent. I don't think there are many of those, right? But I could recall one specifically from the Kitters era where two guys were involved in a ongoing beef, as we just call it. They used to always get away with one another. And then there was a murder in the area, and one went and told the police that it was this guy who did it. But everybody in the area was like, what? No, that could never be. This guy ain't stop so. And he was in prison. He was in prison for years and years, and he was in prison on remand for years before the case came out, and it was said that this guy was lying all the time. But I think a better investigation could have been carried out to know that this guy was lying, and this guy was in prison for like at least 4 or 5 years before he was released because the guy was lying, and nothing was never done. So yeah, that's why I would like to say this morning. The police officers have a job to do. It's not the problem. Doesn't come from when you are detained or arrested, because sometimes that has to be done for investigation purposes. But treat people better. Why tell you what the galvanize? If you're in police custody and you say you're hungry, they either should. Sometimes they allow you to call someone to bring food, or they call the person for you, or they give you food, or if you ask for some water, they give you water. Or if you have money on you, you can give them the money and they can purchase the food for you. Why? And it wasn't even as if the woman was there for some sort of heinous crime, when you would understand why the reaction of the police would be so aggressive. You know what I mean? She was there on an accusation of distributing material that she should not have.
Yeah, but you see the thing though, Lyf, there are still some police officers who think their role is to invoke fear into persons, right? So many of them might think that by being disrespectful or by using the upper hand, that it gets persons to comply. When I don't know, some persons don't realize that when you act in a particular way, like meets like in some occasions, where if you interact with me in a particular way, let's say I am not the type of submissive person, a docile person, you're going to meet back that same resistance with me. So I think that is one of the things that many officers still think that they need to use tactics of intimidation. But in terms of what you're talking about, I remember, I think there was an issue last year. I was trying to pinpoint exactly what it was, because I remember trying to get a lawyer to speak on the matter of the rights of individuals when they are being detained. And I wasn't able to get through with it, but something had sparked the conversation last year. Somehow I think Grand Connell too was involved in whatever it is at the time. But I think that many persons don't know what to do when police turn up and say, we're going to take you down to the station for questioning or whatever. Many persons just don't know.
Yeah. Grant speaks a lot about these things, right? And I don't want people to take that this is nobody beating up on the police, right? Because when the police do good things, I usually say, well, they do good things, but then when things happen, you have to talk about it. And this is not like a reflection on the entire police force, just a few officers that sometimes make the police look bad. So, people like to say, you're beating up on the police, you don't like the police. This is not what is happening here. This is pointing out something that went wrong that shouldn't have gone that way. You know what I mean? I tell you, a lot of the police officers, them stop like this, But
that's the thing. That's it.
Yeah. And I spoke about this a few weeks ago, I think, where I had received a call from England where someone was telling me that their friend says that their daughter called them and told them that she was being sexually molested by a relative. And I had gone to the police about it. And the police at Kitters police station had dealt very, very professionally with the matter. But what they said, they have two sexual offenses unit, one in Kitters and one in the Georgetown area. So they would have to call the Georgetown unit to deal with the issue. They were very, very, very professional at the Kitters police station, the way they took the information. And I was there when they called the office at Georgetown. But the problem was that the young lady was hiding, and she was saying that she wanted to be picked up by the police before her father comes from work and want to look for her. So she wanted to be in police custody before he realized that she was missing and wanted to look for her. And it took Like they didn't take it seriously. When I was inquiring from the young lady, called the young lady number was given to me. 3-4 hours after, I was inquiring from her if they had picked up, because she was very close to the police station, but she didn't want to even come on the main road to walk to the station. She wanted the police to fetch her. And up to 4 hours after, they did not call, they did not go for her. And they only went for her after I called Central Police Station and spoke to a very senior police officer. And then he called them and told them, listen, you need to go for the young lady. And that's how they eventually acted and went.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So as I said, it's not our police officers, because look, we have the wide difference. One station deals with it very professionally. They pass it on to other station, which they were supposed to do. And these people were failing to act and only acted quickly after they got a call from a senior police officer. So why they couldn't go to the young lady all the time? And this was a very serious matter. I don't know the outcome of what happened. I don't know if the guy was ever charged. I don't know if the young lady was ever removed from the home or whatever. But as you can see in that case, it's not our police officers, just some that don't take the job seriously.
Yeah.
Over the weekend too, we saw someone releasing a recording where a traffic police officer was using expletives to against a citizen who was just basically sitting calm. I don't know what happened before. The person was sitting calm and the police officer was cursing a lot of using a lot of obscenities against the person. What they don't realize is that like mostly everything that happens in public these days, once it has some sort of shock value or some sort of something where somebody might see as good content for social media, it is going to be recorded and placed on social media.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And all these things have to do is like break down the trust between the public and the police. Because ask yourself, right? How many times, if you follow the courts, right? How many times do you see people as witnesses in these in cases, serious cases? You hardly see that, you know. That's why a lot of the cases fall through when they reach to the PI stage, they fall through, and sometimes when they reach to the high court stage, they fall through. A lot of them fall through, and not only do they fall through, sometimes there are a lot of cases where people just refuse to cooperate with the police, although they know exactly what happened. But why we have to
I know that police have been trying. They definitely have been trying. The interaction that we've had, especially with those on Cop Chat, you know, they're making the efforts. But as you said, I think sometimes for the 100 that do really good, that one negative one that goes viral gives everybody a reason to paint the entire force in a particular way, which is what is problematic. So,
and also sometimes when officers are disciplined, we don't hear about it.
Yeah, that's what I actually
discipline, you know, but we don't hear about it.
That is something that I made mention of on Cop Chat before, and I think they said they're working to improve on that. But let's see what happens in the near future. But yeah, that is something that I remember bringing up, because in order for us to know that the matter was actually being dealt with, the same way like how it came to our attention in the public, we want to know what action was taken in the same public space. So yeah.
Because a lot of times they are disciplined though. Internally. Sometimes officers are fired, but we never know. So we say, "Oh, nothing will happen," but things usually happen.
Yeah.
This is not beating up on the police. This is beating up on the bad police.
All right.
So you have to make that clear. You have to make that clear, because people go and say what they want to say.
Agreed. I understand. All right, Lyf. So we're gonna have to wrap it up here for this morning. So yeah, we see you. Literally see you again tomorrow morning, okay?
Bye.
All right,
Bye.
take care. Have a good one.
You see you. That just there with the head down. That not saying anything.
I know when that mic. Hold on. Me open the mic. Lyf.
Good morning, Doc. How are you?
Oh, the mic over there.
Hey, good morning, Lyf. I was listening very carefully. See, sometimes you got to just listen.
Definitely.
And you don't have to talk and say you agree. And if I was me, I would have said this and so forth. You listen, you learn, you're able to pick up on a bit of information. So I want to say wonderful morning. I love the commentaries and so forth. And sometimes I just relax and absorb and so forth without having to add anything to it. You know what I mean?
Unless I forgive somebody too old thumb.
Oh my Lord. It is a new year. Life go away. Bye-bye. And that is speechless.
That
No?
you're not going to respond to that?
No, I'm saying I'm so, Maka, if after that I was supposed to come back and now get on with the whole thing, I would be going against what I said.
What you just said. All right.
Doc, there are some things that you just have to be quiet.
No, there's not something you have to be quiet. You could respond, but you can choose. You see,
definitely.
His commentary was about bad cops, right? And he was making the case they were good cops. You know, we have good cops and we have a few bad cops. And essentially, you don't have to say much more than that because we know the circumstances. So I'm not going to be a bad cop to you.
Doc have lyrics, eh? Doc have real lyrics.
Nicole? All
Real
right. And especially when he dips the voice.
Right
All
now,
right.
you know what Doc doing? Doc using bedside manners there, you know.
Yeah, he's very articulate.
That is bedside manners.
I've always been accused of having good bedside manners.
All right, folks, we had it out. All right, it's time for like see you tomorrow. Time here in SVG, it is 8:11, and our time check came through the compliments of New Haven Funeral Home.